шановні колеги? Я включу, так. Включаємо всі свої мікрофони чи не фонить. Будь ласка, кожен по декілька слів вітання.
Все добре.
Все добре, добре. Сеага, Семі, please.
Чукаю.
Vote. Волуме. Ой, я не бачу. Ушла з кого. Так, що запит.
Так, дозволити запис.
Шановні колеги, буде стрім і буде запис. Будь ласка, прийміть це в своїх нотах. У нас немає на екрані, у нас немає, все добре. Людмила Іванівна, будь ласка, далі треба перевірити звук. Включіть цей декілька слів.
Так, я чую добре.
Все добре, перевірили колонки просто в нас. Дякую. Все, ми розпочинаємо. Good morning, dear members of the one-time specialized scientific council. Due to the resolution of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine, number 44, dated the 12th of January 2022, the procedure for awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and cancelling the decision of the one-time specialized academic council of higher educational institution, scientific institution on awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. And in accordance with the order of the Academic Council of Ternopil, Volodymyr Gnatyuk National Pedagogical University, number 23, dated the 24th of January 2023, one-time specialized academic council of Ternopil Volodymyr Gnatyuk National Pedagogical University, DF 58.053.030 was found to be the right to expect for the consideration and one-time defense of the dissertation of Saaga Semmy for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge, 01 Education Pedagogy, in the specialty 011 Educational Pedagogical Sciences. Let me introduce the members of the one-time specialized academic council. Head of the one-time specialized scientific council, hello, Svetlana Nikolaevna, Doctor of Pedagogical Sciences, Professor of the Department of Social Work and Management of Social Cultural Activities, Ternopil Volodymyr Gnatyuk, National Pedagogical University. Official opponent, Valentina Alexandrovna Turina, Doctor of Pedagogical Sciences, Professor of the Department of Sociology and Psychology of Kharkiv National University of Internal Affairs, Ministry of Internal Affairs of Ukraine. Romanovska Lyudmila Ivanivna, Doctor of Pedagogical Sciences, Professor of the Department of Social Work and Social Pedagogy of the Khmelnytsky National University. Irina Ivanivna Britsko, Candidate of Psychological Sciences, Associate Professor of the Psychology Department of Mukachevo State University. Official Reviewer, Parkhonovich Ivana Ivanivna, Doctor of Pedagogical Sciences, Professor of the Department of Social Work and Management Social Cultural Activities, Тернопіль, Володимир Гнатюк, National Pedagogical University. Due to the data of the registration card, all 5 members of the council are present at the meeting of the Specialized Academic Council, approved by the order of the Academic Council of Ternopil Volodymyr Gnatyuk National Pedagogical University, number 23, dated the 24th of January 2023. 2 members of the council are offline and 3 members of the online. The quorum necessary for holding the meeting is present. Therefore, we have all the official grounds to state the meeting. In accordance above mentioned resolution of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine, the meeting of the one-time Specialized Academic Council must be accompanied by a video recording. In case of the alarm, we will have to stop the meeting and go to the shelter. On the agenda is the defense of Sеага Семі, PhD, thesis on the topic social and pedagogical condition of prevention and correction adolescents' aggressive behavior in general secondary educational institutions, field of knowledge, 01 education pedagogy, specialty 011 educational pedagogical sciences. Will there be any comments or suggestions for the agenda? No? No. No. Let's vote by raising your hand. Who supports this agenda? Please vote. Yes, yes, thank you. 5 members, against no one, abstain no one. So everyone support. The title of Sеага Семі PhD thesis was approved at Academic Council of Ternopil Volodymyr Gnatyuk National Pedagogical University, protocol number 23 from the 24th of January 2023. The dissertation was complete at Ternopil Volodymyr Gnatyuk National Pedagogical University, Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine. Scientific supervisor, Doctor of Pedagogical Sciences, Professor of the Department of Social Work and Management of Social Cultural Activities, Ternopil Volodymyr Gnatyuk National Pedagogical University, Сорока Ольга Вікторівна. The defense will be conducted in English upon agreement with the acquirer. The following documents have been received by the Specialized Academic Council. Statements regarding the attestation of the acquirer, copy of the first page of the passport of the citizen Israel, a copy of diploma of higher education, extract from the order on admission to postgraduate studies, academic certificate on completion on the relevant educational and scientific program, conclusion of the scientific supervisor, a conclusion about the scientific novelty, theoretical and practical significance of the result of the dissertation, dissertation in printed and electronic form, copies of scientific publications included in this topic, certified in the prescribed manner. The submitting documents match the established requirements of the Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine. The requirements of the procedure for awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and cancelling the decision of the one-time Specialized Academic Council of Higher Education Institution, Scientific Institution, on awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy approved by resolution of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine, number 44, the 12th of January 2022, also being complied. The PAG thesis was submitted for the defense of the first time. Do you have any questions about the documents? No? Thank you. Allow me to read the applicant's biographical data. Sеага Семі was born in 1972. Between 1990 and 1994, Semі studied for a bachelor's degree in law at the College of Administration in Tel Aviv. Between the years 1994 and 1995, he was in law practical, and in 1995, he was trained as a lawyer and a member of the Lawyers Office Association. Semі joined the Israel Police in September 1995 as a lawyer in police lawsuits in Nazareth. In 1996, he was trained as an officer in the Israel Police. He served as a criminal and traffic prosecutor until 1999. Semі moved to an investigation officer and a lawyer at the rank of inspector at the Tiberias station. In 2000, he moved to serve as the head of the investigation and intelligence officer of Migdal Hamet station at the rank of inspector. In 2012, he moved to serve as an instructor at the college for a senior youth officer. He trained the investigation and intelligence officers. In 2015, he served as a Coast County Crime Victims Officer. In 2018, he became a Coast District Youth Officer. In 2020, he moved to serve as the head of the Fraud and Cyber Division of the Coast District. From November 2018 to November 2022, he studied at Ternopil Volodymyr Gnatюk National Pedagogical University. He completed all the requirements of the educational and scientific program in the field of knowledge, 01 Education Pedagogy, Specialty 011 Educational Pedagogical Sciences. The results of the research are covered in 14 scientific publications. 11 publications are individual. 1 article in the foreign publications, 3 articles in scientific specialized publication of Ukraine, 1 article educational and methodological manual, and 9 articles in collections of materials of scientific and practical conferences of various levels. The number, volume, and content of printed works meet the requirements of Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine regarding the publication of the main content of the dissertation for obtaining the scientific degree of Doctor of Philosophy. The feedback from opponents and review were received in time. They were posted on the website of Ternopi, Volodymyr Gnetyuk National Pedagogical University. In order to present the main result of the research, the floor is given to Sеага Семі. Please, Sеага Семі. Please, Sеага. Microphone. Include. Sеага. Oh, please.
It's okay. Honorable Lead and the Professor of the Department, I am presenting you the result of the dissertation on the topic social and pedagogical condition, prevention and correction, adolescent aggressive behavior in the general secondary educational institutions. The increased aggressiveness of the school children is an acute problem for teenagers. Their parents and educators at adolescent aggression lead to deviation. It can also cause delinquent behavior. Innovative form and methods are needed to work with aggressive teenagers in the general secondary educational institutions. This aspect were are the basis for our dissertation. Purpose, object, and subject are presented on the slide. According to the goal, there are defined the text of dissertation. They are shown on the slide. I would like to highlight the result of the practical activities. Based on the analysis of the works, scientists, it was established that there are a large number of approaches to understanding aggression. We found that aggression involves to intentional infliction of harm on the other subject. There were analyzed the purpose and nature. There are established the main approaches for the classification of function. There were established main types of aggression which are presenting on the slide. There were analyzed the main causes of aggression. A person asserts his identity and human dignity with the help of aggression behavior. The human solves important problems, increase self-esteem, he protects his right and freedom and controls the environment. Adolescent aggression is understood as destructive behavior that contradicts social norms. It is such a behavior that shows an inability to respond adequately to events. It is made harming others. Adolescent aggressiveness has both positive and negative sides. They are singled out the signs and the characteristics of adolescent aggression. There were determined main motives of teenagers, aggressive behavior. There were also analyzed the approaches for the classification of types, forms of aggression, which are common for teenagers. There are singles out the most important reasons for the teenagers' aggression manifestation. It includes the negative effects of 3 factors: family, peers, and environment, mass media, and computer technologies. It was found that such factors increase the level of aggression as character, traits, excitability, irritability, overstatement, self-esteem, for the formation of the self-awareness and the development of self-criticism. Socio pedagogical prevention of aggressive behavior is understood as a process. On the one hand, it's cover the creation of optimal conditions for the adolescent personal support and the formation of the non-aggressive position. Socio-pedagogical correction of aggressive behavior involves developing patience, understanding the ability to see the positive and rely on it, as well as it is aimed to changing the leading motives. Prevention should be carried out together with correction. There were analyzed methods, regularities, structure, stages of the prevention and correction on an organization. There were also described the principles and the approaches of the preventive and corrective work with aggressive teenagers. There were chosen the criteria: motivational, emotional, cognitive, behavioral. They reflect the productivity and the quality of prevention and correction of teenagers' aggressive behavior. The socio-pedagogical technology of prevention and correction of teenagers' aggressive behavior is considered at the part of the educational process. It includes a system of preventive and corrective action performed by the social pedagogue and practical psychologists to prevent it. Technos covers purpose, subjects, socio-pedagogical condition, scientific and methodological support, form and methods of technology in implementation stages, and the practical activity and parameters of evaluation to expect result. Socio-pedagogical conditions are considered as additional circumstance for the MAC prevention and correction adolescent aggressive behavior in educational institutions. Effective, there are select three conditions. The first condition includes a set practical action, methods, and measures. They are made accompanying and supporting the adolescent on the way to improving personal qualities and internal resource. For its implementation, it was developed a portfolio for the socio-pedagogue and practical psychologist on the prevention and correction organization, adolescent aggressive behavior. The choice of the second condition is due to the importance of gaming activities for teenagers. It was developing game exercise to story role-playing game to transform aggressive behavior into constructive behavior. The third condition is aimed at improving cultural and teacher activities. It was developing the game competition and training program. Stop boiling. In order to fulfill the fourth task of the distillation, it was conduct a ascertainment experiment. There were involved students of 5th to 9th grades of the educational institution. You can see the result of the slide. The formative stage of the experiment was conducted on the basis of Chernobyl schools. A number 245 students of 5th to 9th grades are involved in the experiment. There were implemented socio-pedagogical technology and socio-pedagogical condition in the experimental classes. The result of the experiment on the distribution of victims and of aggression were presented on the slide. The change in the state of the psychological atmosphere is presented on the next slide. The introduction of socio-pedagogical condition made it possible to significantly improve corrective and preventive work. The obtained results regarding the state of all criteria formation and presented on the slide. The scientific novelty of our research is presented on the slide. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Sammy. Thank you. The report is finished. Dear members of the council, do you have any questions? Valentina Alexandrovna, do you have any questions? Yes, the volume, Valentina, volume. Thank you. Please,
Чутно?
question,
Чутно?
да.
Дякую. Name, please, which methods of social pedagogical prevention and correction of adolescents' aggression proved to be the most effective during the experiment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. The thesis took into account that the quality of prevention and correction depends on the choice of methods. There were analyzed traditional and innovative methods. As the experience showed, a group discussion, games, practical experience simulation of success situation, training, and psychotraffics methods were effective in the working with teenagers.
Thank you. Valentina Alexandrovna, are you satisfied with the answer? Yes?
Yes.
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 Do you have any questions to Sally Sammy? Yes?
Yes. Так. What forms of aggression were most characteristic among teenagers?
Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. There are distinguished 9 different forms of aggressive personality behavior in the social environment. In the scientific literature, according to a statistic and our own observation, boiling, twirling, and effling are the most typical of the teenagers. It was found that teenagers appear the most for boiling, such form to sexting, and cybermobbing are used quite rarely in educational institutions.
Thank you. Valentina Alexandrovna, are you satisfied with the answer?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Do you
Thank you.
have more questions? No?
No.
No, thank you. Mila Ivanivna, do you have a question? Please.
Yes. I have 2 questions to the dissertation student. The first one, did you research psychological issues to understanding aggression in your dissertation thesis?
Thank you, Sema. Please.
Thank you for your questions. Yes, we studied the scientific term not only from a pedagogical, but also from the psychological point of view. Thus, in in the research of the psychologist aggression in such destructive behavior that contradict the norms and rules of experience in society. It causes harm or causes negative experiences from the psychological point of view. Aggression implies a state of tension, fear, and desperation.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank
Are you
you.
satisfied with the answer?
Yes, yes. The second one question, what is the significance of aggressive behavior for teenagers?
Thank you for your questions. We found that aggressive behavior has both positive and negative meaning. Negative traits include the fact that unpleasant behavior causes pain to other provokes a desire for revenge and causes strong unpleasant experiences. It was found that aggressive behavior also has positive features. Your aggression is a way of self-defense. It allows to teenagers to assert himself passive in aggression. Teenagers have a real ability to adapt aggression and constraint by psychologists and educators as a means of developing the ability to rely on the oneself on the virus situation.
Thank you. Are you
Thank you.
satisfied? Yes.
Yes, of course.
Людмила Іванівна, do you have any question to Сеага Семі? No, thank you.
No.
Ірина Іванівна, do you have questions?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Have you analyzed the individual psychological factors that provoke aggressive behavior in teenagers?
Thank you for your questions. So we analyzed individual psychological factors that provoke aggressive behavior in teenagers. In particular, aggressive behavior influenced the curiosity for the need of others and the motivational and value sphere. The emotional sphere includes the desire for vivid experience, low tolerance, and communication with peers, long stay in the depression, boredom, and inability to occupy your free time. Scientists attribute low self-esteem on the field of the self-concept, low level of the self-esteem inferiority complex. The cognitive sphere is aggressive behavior implies a low level of self-control, exercises criticality, and excessive demand for both oneself and others.
Thank you. Ірина Іванівна, are you satisfied with the answer?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Do you have more questions to Semі?
Yes, I have. Yes, I do. The second one is, what do you mean by the term social pedagogical prevention of aggressive behavior and social pedagogical correction of aggressive behavior?
Thank you for your questions. These two terms were the main questions that we thoroughly explored. In the dissertation, thus we understand the socio-pedagogical prevention and correction behavior as a process that includes the creation of the optimal condition for the elimination of aggressive behavior. Is it also understood as the development of the adolescent personal sphere, the formation of the non-aggressive position. In our understanding, socio-pedagogical correction of aggressive behavior involves developing fitness, understanding, and ability to see the positive to rely on it. As well, it involves changing the leading motives. We proceed from the position that socio-pedagogical prevention should be carried out together with socio-pedagogical correction.
Thank you. Irina Ivanivna, are you satisfied with the answer?
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Do you have more questions to Semmy?
No, that's all.
Thank you. Ivana Ivanivna, you can ask the questions.
Yes.
Please.
I want to ask two questions. First, what regulations out the organization of corrections and corrections work with aggressive measures in education institutions? Second,
No one question. Please, Semmy.
Thank you for your questions. Those passed our generalization of scientific information in the dissertation. There were identified three main regulators for the preventive and corrective process in working with aggressive teenagers in the general secondary educational institutions. Namely, the first regularity assumes the extensions for close relationship between prevention and correction with the inclusion of the teenagers in this process. The second regularity consists in the extensions for clear interdependence of the effectiveness for preventive and correction work in the nature of the organization measures. The third regularity is determined by the specific problems that teenagers have and the level of preparation and competence for specialists how organize preventive and corrective work.
Thank you, Ivana Ivanivna. Are you satisfied with the answer? Yes. Two questions, please.
What correction of risk society do you implement in general secondary educational institutions?
Please.
Thank you for your questions. Yes, we understood that the principles are important during of organization of prevention and correction of teenagers' aggressive behavior. So the main emphasizes in the following four principles. The principle of motivation of preventive and corrective activities, that this principle involves the development of the child's internal motivation and participate in the preventive and corrective activities. The principle of the personification of preventive and corrective work provides that the prevention and correction of aggression behavior should be focused on the specific adolescent child. The principle of informed choice, it is focused on the formation of attitude among teenagers to search for optimal option for responding to difficult life situation. The principle of indirect effect of preventive and corrective measures, this principle provides for the creation of the approach pace for the self-resolution of each teenager during preventive and corrective work.
Thank you, Ivana Ivanivna. Are you satisfied with the answer? Thank you. Do you have more other questions? No, thank you. I have a question too. One question. What tasks were implemented during the ascertainment stage of the experiment?
Thank you for your question. The ascertainment stage of the experiment was organized on September to December 2020 in the 4 general secondary educational institutions. The organization of the ascertaining stages for the experiment was complex in the initials, and it includes methods and techniques of social, psychological, social pedagogy, general and egg pedagogy. 11 students of the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grades were involved in the experience. 35 classroom teachers, 5 practical psychologists, and 5 social teachers. We see following 3 tasks for the stage of the ascertainment experience. Research on the prevalence of aggressive behavior among teenagers, studying the characteristics of aggressive behavior and identifying the insurers and victims of aggression, analysis for the state of organization of prevention and correction teenagers aggressive behavior in the general secondary educational institutions.
Thank you, Sammy. Thank you. I am satisfied with the answer. If there are no more questions, dear members of the council, no? No? No. Thank you. Let's move on the speeches of the official opponents. Reviews of the opponents and reviews of the reviewers are published on the website of our university. Everyone had the opportunity to them. I invite Tюріна Valentina Alexandrovna, Doctor of Pedagogical Sciences, Professor of the Department of Sociology and Psychology of Kharkiv National University of Internal Affairs, Ministry of Internal Affairs of Ukraine, as the official opponents to outline the main points of the feedback. Please, Valentina Alexandrovna.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me thank you for the opportunity to participate in the work of the dissertation council DF 58053030. There was already presented the review on Sеага, Semy's dissertation on the topic social and pedagogical conditions of prevention and correction adolescents' aggressive behavior in general secondary education institutions. Everywhere who wanted had the opportunity to get acquainted with it. Therefore, I will present only the most positive element of the work and dwell on the shortcomings and increasing level of aggression distracts from positive deeds. It increases the level of conflict and worsens the psychological climate in the team. Timely organized preventive and corrective work for and aggressive teenager will help the minor to socialize in CISAs and develop personal potential. Sеага Semy's thesis is novel. The author developed social pedagogical technology for organizes preventive and corrective etiquette. He identified social socio-pedagogical conditions that ensure it effective. The diagnostic took it for researching the aggressive behavior of teenagers in valued. Сеага Семіс clarified
Valentina Alexandrovna, look to camera. Oh, please. Thank you.
Сеага Семіс clarified the essence of the scientific terms aggression, aggressiveness, aggressive behavior, particularities of adolescents' aggression. The author that published 14 publication. Сеага Семіс dissertation corresponds to the specialty. The research meets requirements, no violation of academic integrity were detected. I would like to express certain comments and visions to the author. First, the views of scientists on the essence of aggression and the critical remarks should be present in table 1, 2, 1 second, pedagogical approach to understand the essence of aggression. Second, in our view, paragraph first 2, the essence and characteristic of aggressiveness and aggressive personality behavior is overstated with theoretical information. It would be worthwhile to transfer some of the information to the appendix of to depict it geometrical in the form of figures or tapes. Solved. The author names 3 sub-stages while describing the formatting experiment: procedural, practical, analytical. We believe that is appropriate to call it not procedural, but diagnostic, considering the essence and task of the first stage. Fourth, in our opinion, a more thorough explanation is needed, as do I, the author, choose socio-pedagogical condition among a rather significant spectrum on condition: psychological, pedagogical, organization, pedagogical, organizational, psychological, social, pedagogical, social, psychological. We emphasize that comments and wishes are not fundamental and do not affect the positive evaluations of Sеага Семен's dissertation. Conclusion: Sеага Семен's dissertation on the topic social and pedagogical condition of prevention and correction adolescents' aggressive behavior in general, the country education institutions, is independent, integral, and complete scientific research that meet the requirement. It's also deserves to be awarded the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the specialty 011 Educational Pedagogical Science of the branch of nodules 01 Education Pedagogy. Thank you.
Thank you, Valentina Ivanivna, for your feedback. Sega Semi, you can respond to the remark of the official opponent to outline the main points of feedback. Please, Sega.
We would like to thank the doctor of the pedagogical sciences, professor of the Department of the Psychology and Psychology of the Kharkiv National University and the Internal Affairs, Valentina Turina, for her attention to our dissertation, positive assessment, remarks, and wishes. We would like to give any explanation and express our position. We fully agree with the first and third remarks. We would like to give the following explanation for the second remark. A great attention we paid to the analysis of the essence and characteristics of aggressive and aggressive behavior of the individual, because these issues are decisive for the development of socio-pedagogical technology for the prevention and correction of adolescent aggressive behavior. Regarding the fourth remarks, we note that the methodology distinguished psychological, pedagogical, organizational, pedagogical, organizational, psychological, social, pedagogical, and social psychological conditions. We choose socio-pedagogical conditions. The choice of the prefix pedagogical is due to the fact that we work in the socio-pedagogical environment of the general secondary educational institutions. The prefix social assumed that their implementation was implemented by the social pedagogue and the practical psychologist also in our practical activities. We took into account specific pedagogical and social aspects for the organization of prevention and correction of adolescent aggressive behavior, the educational process. Once again, I thank the Honorable Opponent Valentina Turina for the positive assessment for our dissertation.
Thank you, Sammy. Thank you. Valentina Alexandrovna, are you satisfied with the answer? Yes, thank you. Thank you. I invite Romanovska Людмила Ivanivna, Doctor of Pedagogical Sciences, Professor of the Department of Social Work and Social Pedagogy of the Khmelnytsky National University, as the official opponents to outline the main points of the please.
Thank you, Svetlana Nikolaevna. Greetings to the honorable members of the One-Time Special Academic Council. Let me present the official opponents' review to the thesis research of Saaga Semmi on the topic Social and Pedagogical Conditions of Prevention and Correction Adolescents' Aggressive Behavior in General Secondary Educational Institutions, which was submitted for obtaining the scientific degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the specialty 011 Educational Pedagogical Science. The review is presented on the university's website, so I will present a shortened version. I'd like to note that the organization of the prevention and correction of aggressive behavior needs a systematic approach and feeling with the pedagogical innovations. The dissertation is relevant. It demonstrates the understanding of modern approaches to the preventive and corrective activities organization. The dissertation specifies the criteria for prevention and correction of teenagers' aggressive behavior in general secondary educational institutions. There have been improved the content, forms, and methods of working with aggressive teenagers. They also use theoretical, empirical, and statistical methods. He organized a pedagogical experiment and checked the gained results. Special attention is paid to the practical mechanism of implementing socio-pedagogical conditions. All tasks are carefully analyzed by the author. The results are thoroughly verified by reliable research methods. The author has published 14 works that confirm his competence. No violations of academic integrity and textual borrowings were found during the review of Saaga Semí dissertation. There are inaccuracies and debatable points in the dissertation. The first one, Figure 1 points to classification of types of aggression in overloaded with graphic forms and is difficult to perceive. It should be divided into 2 pictures to simplify perception. The second one, the author pays a lot of attention to the characteristic of the terms prevention and correction. These terms are well known, so it will be possible to limit yourself to only generalizing the information on transfer part of the information to the appendices. The dissertation developed a socio-pedagogical technology for the prevention of teenagers' aggressive behavior. The work would only win if the author depicted all the competent technologies in the graphic form. Remarks and wishes do not reduce the value of the thesis. The dissertation on the topic social and pedagogical conditions of prevention and correction adolescents' aggressive behavior in general secondary educational institutions missed the requirements of the procedure for awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy approved by the resolution number 44 of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine, dated January 2022. The author Saaga Semí deserves to be awarded the scientific degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the specialty 011 Educational Pedagogical Science of the field of knowledge 01 Education Pedagogy. Thank you.
Thank you, Людмила Іванівна. Saaga Semí, you can answer on the remark of the official opponents. Please, Semí.
I would like to thank the Doctor of Pedagogical Sciences, Professor Ludmila Romanovska for the positive feedback on the dissertation. Let me answer for the remark made by the honorable opponent. We share the first remark completely. Regarding the second remark, we proceeded from the fact that the term prevention and correction are the main definition of our dissertation. This is why such attention is paid to their analysis, both from pedagogical and psychological point of view. Its answer to the third remarks is in accordance with pedagogical modeling technology can be presented both in a graphical and descriptive form. The graphic image was cute, large, and complicated for perception. Therefore, a decision was made on the descriptive nature of the socio-pedagogical technology developed by us for the prevention and correction of docent aggressive behavior. Thank you, Ludmila Romanovska, for her remarks and positive assessment of our dissertation.
Thank you, Saga
Are
Semmi.
you satisfied with this answer? Людмила Іванівна, satisfied with this answer?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I invite Britsко Irina Ivanivna, candidate of psychological sciences, associate professor of the psychological department of Mukachevo State University, as the official opponents to outline the main points of the feedback. Please, Irina Ivanivna.
I sincerely thank you for the opportunity to be involved in the work of the one specialized council, DA 58.053.030 at Ternopil Volodymyr Natyuk National University. I convey greetings from the scientists of Mukachevo State University. The full version of the review to Sеага Semi's dissertation on the topic social and pedagogical conditions of prevention and correction adolescents' aggressive behavior in general secondary educational institution is presented on the university's website. Therefore, I will present the opponent's review in an abridged version. I fully agree with the author that aggressive behavior distracts a teenager from positive things. It increases his level of conflict and worsens the psychological climate in the team, as well as negatively affects the quality of the child's self-realization and disorganize the activities of the entire group. It should be noted that the dissertation was completed in accordance with the thematic plan of scientific and scientific organizational activities of Ternopil Volodymyr Natyuk National Pedagogical University within the scope of the research work, theory, and practice of diagnostic and preventive work to prevent and overcome deviant behavior of individuals. The peer review dissertation is characterized by novelty and originality. Thus, the work analyzed the scientific concepts of aggression, aggressiveness, aggressive behavior, particularities of teenager aggression. There has been developed socio-pedagogical technology of organizing preventive and corrective activities, social and pedagogical conditions that ensures effectiveness of the author's technology have been defined and theoretically substantiated. The author included the following in the list of social and pedagogical conditions: pedagogical support of the process of improving personal qualities and resources of adolescent school children, the formation of constructive interaction and the development of a positive microclimate based on the use of game activities, providing practice-oriented guidance to cultural and leisure activities. The specified elements of scientific novelty are well-founded. They are also of significant importance for improving the prevention and correction of aggressive behavior of adolescents. The work is of practical importance. A toolkit for diagnosing aggressive behavior of teenagers has been proposed. Stop bullying. Training, educational, and methodological recommendation has been developed. The author developed a bank of practical materials for the organization of leisure activities of teenagers. As well, a portfolio was created for social pedagogues and practical psychologists on the organization of prevention and correction of teenagers' aggressive behavior. During the review of Sеага Semi's dissertation, no violation of academic integrity were found. positively assessing the scientific and practical significance of the dissertation, I would like to express certain comments and wishes to the author. The first one, the author presented the spheres of the personality of teenagers, motivational value, emotional, spiritual, sphere of I concept, cognitive and cognitive, and individual psychological factors in table 1.5, individual psychological factors that provoke aggressive behavior in teenagers. The table would have even greater scientific value if the author supplemented it with an item consequences of aggression. The second one is the author presented together traditional and innovative methods of prevention and correction of adolescents' aggression in figure 2.3 and correction, a schematic representation of methods of social pedagogical prevention and correction of aggressive behavior of adolescents. We believe that it would be appropriate to separate traditional methods from innovative ones. Thus, the figure would be more informative. The third, the author focused the main attention on the theoretical, methodological, and practical plane. The importance of social pedagogical conditions that will be introduced to social pedagogues and practical psychologists in preventive and corrective work with aggressive school children was justified. We believe that it would be appropriate to cite specific statistical facts that emphasize their importance. The expressed remarks and wishes are of a recommendatory nature and do not have a negative impact on the positive assessment of Sega Semi's dissertation work. We can state that Sega Semi's dissertation, Social and Pedagogical Condition of Prevention and Correction Adolescents' Aggressive Behavior in General Secondary Educational Institution, is an independent, integral, and completed scientific study that meets the requirements of the procedure for awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, approved by the resolution of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine, dated January 12, 2022, number 44. On this basis, it also deserves to be awarded the scientific degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the specialty 011, Educational Pedagogical Sciences, of the field of knowledge 01, Education Pedagogy.
Thank you very much, Irina Ivanovna. Thank you. Sega Semi, you can answer on the remark of the opponents. Please, Semi.
We would like to thank Irina Pertesco, candidate of psychological sciences, associate professor of the psychology department of the Mikechko State University. Irina Pertesco of her positive assessment of our dissertation, critical remarks and advice. Let me respond to the remark of the respected opponent. We agree with the first remark. We will analyze it in our next publication. Regarding the second remark, we want to explain that we don't separate the traditional and innovative methods of prevention and correction of teenagers' aggression. In our words, we proceed from the consideration that is advisable to combine traditional and innovative methods. It is in this way that we can achieve the positive result on working on the aggressive teenagers. As for the third remark, we would like to explain that the statistical facts are given by us in the first chapter in the dissertation research. Once again, we thank the candidate of Psychological Sciences, Associate Professor Irina Pertesco, for paying attention for our dissertation. We also thankful for the positive evaluation and expressed wishes and remarks.
Thank you, Semi. Irina Ivanovna, are you satisfied with the answer?
Yes, I am fully satisfied with the answer.
Thank you, Irina Ivanovna. I invite the official reviewer, Parfanovich Ivana Ivanivna, the Doctor of Pedagogical Sciences professor of the Department of Social Work and the Management of Social Cultural Activities, Ternopil Volodymyr Gnatyuk, National Pedagogical University. Please, Ivana Ivanivna.
I would like to know that I am very pleased to look as part of the one-time specialized council of the year 58.053.030 National Pedagogical University. The year's feedback was sent to the specialized scientific board in the timely manner. Therefore, I will focus on the answers positive achievements and highlight comments and features. The relevance of the CMS application method is determined by the fact that in adolescence, manifestations of aggressions are observed water often. Therefore, it is necessary to evaluate failure, organize the preventive and corrective activities with teenagers with a high level of aggression in the educational institution. I would like to note that this is based on a resource base that influence correction to the text and reveal the logic of the research. For the first time, it was developed as a tool for pedagogical technology for the organization of preventive and corrective activities. There are determined social and pedagogical conditions. There has been specifically the essence of the following scientific intent. Aggressiveness, receive behavior, popularities of adolescent experience. There have been involved and methods of preventive and corrective activities of aggressive behavior. We positively evaluate the development, diagnostic, for the training, the speed of teenagers' aggressive behavior. The answer has 40 publications in the scientific journal. The dissertation is clearly structured. There were not detected violations of academic integrity and textual boundaries. Discussion classes and comments. First, in figure 1.1, structure of functions of aggression. Three rules of functions are distinct with positive, negative, and ambivalent. We believe that the aspect how experiment more closely what exactly he was guarded by one property and function of invention to ambivalent functions. Second, in figure 2.2, thematic content of the application of social pedagogical technology of prevention and corrections of aggressive behavior of adolescents. Such main elements are assessment by the quality of solid development regarding the prevention and corrections of adolescents' aggressive behavior. That assessment is an important element. So it was describing more those which quality assessments modules are the most attached. The status that in order to optimize practical activities. He has developed non-practical recommendations for classes teachers, practical sociologists, and social pedagogy for the prevention and corrections of teenagers' aggressive behavior. We believe that it is appropriate to submit such recommendations separately for class teachers and separately for practical qualities and social workers. For the reform related professional duties. General conclusion. Remark and features and debatable. The research is characterized by methodological significance. It also has practical significance. We focus the dissertation on the social and pedagogical division of prevention and corrections of adolescents, aggressive behavior, gender scientific educational institution. As a meaningful and complete scientific work that meets the requirements of the procedure for avoiding the degree of the university, certainly the service to be awarded the scientific degree of the doctor of philosophy in the specialty. The human education to the 40% science of the field of knowledge. There are educations.
Thank you, Ivana Ivanina. Saka Semi, you can answer on the remark of reviewer, please.
We would like to thank Doctor of Pedagogical Sciences, Professor Ivana Parfenovich, for the analysis for distillation, positive assessment, and critical remarks. We gave the following explanation to the reviewer's first remark. The function of revenge, in our opinion, has an ambivalent meaning. First, revenge does not protect against the thirst to what is carried out after the implementation. Secondly, revenge is aimed at neutralizing the harm of or damage caused. That is, aggression can compensate for the other aggression, therefore broken relationship can return to the start point. We partially agree with the second remark. We would like to give an explanation at the end of the practical activity. It is expended for the specialist to assess to what extent the organization of prevention and correction. We emphasize that such an assessment should be objective and possible and aimed at reducing definitions or miscalculation in preventive and corrective activities. We fully agree with the reviewer's third remark. It will be taken into account to the future work. Once again, I would like to thank the Doctor of Pedagogical Sciences, Professor Ivana Parfenovich, for the positive assessment for our dissertation, for the advice and the remark.
Thank you, Semi. Ivana Ivanina, are you satisfied with the answer? Yes, you're right. Thank you. I would like to note that no other person's comments on the text of the dissertation were received on the paper or the email in the name of the chairman of the one-time specialized academic council. So we can proceed to the public discussion procedure. All those present at the meeting have the right to participate in the scientific discussion. Who wants to start our discussion? I invite Тюрина Valentina Alexandrovna. Please, Valentina Alexandrovna.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, dear chairman, for opportunity to start our scientific discussion. I want to emphasize the fact that the dissertation thesis being defended today concerns the issue of organizing the preventions and correction on teenager aggressive behaviors studying in educational institutions. I like that the author paid attention to a very thorough study of theoretical issues related to the cause of aggression from both a pedagogical and psychological point of view. I would like to note the balance approach of Sеага Семі to the description of practical activities with aggressive teenagers. The author competently choose and effectively implemented socio-pedagogical conditions in working with aggressive teenagers. Thus, the dissertation student developed and implemented exercises, games, mini conversations, mini lectures, creative tasks to improve the personal qualities and internal resources of teenagers. Сеага Семі developed the portfolio for social pedagogy and practical psychology. I positively evaluate the author training Stop Bullying. It is aimed at self-expression and establishing effective communication among teenagers. As a wish, I would advise the author to more clearly analyze the practical methods of organizing preventive and corrective work. In conclusion, I would like to note the dissertation is an independent study. It reveals methodical and practical mechanisms for working with teenagers who have a high level of aggressive behaviors. The thesis meets all the requirements, so I will support the applicant and for the awarding of Сеага Семі the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge 01 education pedagogy with a specialty 011 education pedagogical science. Thank you.
Thank you, Valentina Alexandrovna. I invite Romanovska Людмила Іванівна.
Thank you, Svetlana Mykolaievna, for giving the floor. I want to note the high scientific and methodical level of Сеага Семі dissertation. I'd like the fact that the author considered not only pedagogical and social aspects, but also investigated the psychological mechanism of aggression. I consider it valuable that based on the systematization of scientific information, the author singled out the most important reasons for the manifestation of teenagers' aggression. Сеага Семі, the work has practical value. Thus, the author developed and implemented innovative forms and methods that reduce the level of aggressiveness in preventive and corrective work with teenagers. The dissertation offers a toolkit for diagnosing teenagers' aggressive behavior. The Stop Bullying training was prepared as well as educational and methodological recommendations for the organization of prevention and correction of teenagers' aggressive behavior. From a methodological point of view, the developed bank of practical materials for the organization of leisure activities of teenagers is valuable. We highly appreciate the portfolio for a social pedagogue and a practical psychologist on the organization of prevention and correction of teenagers' aggressive behavior. I will also support the dissertation student Saaga Semmi in awarding him the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge 01 education pedagogy with the specialty 011 educational pedagogical science. Thank you.
Thank you, Людмила Іванівна. I invite Ірина Іванівна Брецько, please.
Thank you, dear Chairman, for the opportunity to join the organized scientific discussion. I share the position of dear opponents of Professor Turina Valentina Alexandrina and Professor Lyudmila Ivanivna Romanovska. The dissertation research carried out by Saaga Semmi is marked by a high scientific level. I would like to note that the author has fully completed all the tasks. It is valuable that the dissertation very thoroughly analyzed the essence of the scientific definition of aggression and aggressiveness, as well as it researched the content, science, features, and causes of teenagers' aggressive behavior studying in secondary educational institutions. We are impressed by the author's approach to the material presented in the dissertation. It highlights the content and features of the organization of prevention and correction of teenagers' aggressive behavior. We consider it particularly valuable that Saaga Semmi's researched the structural components of social pedagogical technology of prevention and correction of adolescents' aggressive behavior in educational institutions. The social pedagogical condition of its effectiveness were defined and substantiated. This approach testifies to the scientific competence of the author as a practitioner who knows how to organize practical work with teenagers who have a high level of aggression. I support my colleagues in the high assessment of Saaga Semmi's dissertation thesis. I will support the author in awarding him the scientific degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge 01 education pedagogy in the specialty 011 educational pedagogical sciences.
Thank you very much, Irina Ivanivna. I invite Ivana Ivanivna Parfanovich, please.
Thank you, dear Pampano, for the discussion. Saaga Semmi's dissertation research on the topic social pedagogical conditions of prevention and correction of adolescents, aggressive behavior in general secondary educational institutions, as methodological and practical use. First of all, I like the fact that there has increased the law of social pedagogical technology for organizing preventive interactive activities. The distinction substantial of social pedagogical conditions that ensure the effectiveness of social pedagogical technology. I am impressed by the fact that Saaga Semmi considered the criteria that reflect the productivity and quality of prevention and corrections of teenagers' aggressive behavior in general secondary educational institutions at 3 levels. I appreciate the fact that the research has involved the diagnostic topic for researching the teenagers' aggressive behavior. The given facts tested to the high scientific and methodological level of this dissertation and provide grounds for awarding Saaga Semmi the scientific degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge 01 educational pedagogy with a specialty 011 educational pedagogical science.
Thank you, Ivana Ivanivna. Can I say a few words? I consider Saaga Semmi's dissertation to be practical. The author presented issues of prevention and correction of teenagers' aggressive behavior during their studies in general secondary educational institutions. Sieaga Semmi analyzed the essence of the scientific definitions of aggression and aggressiveness. I positively assess the fact that it was formed prosocial behavior in students in the experimental group. The scientific publications proved the importance of the dissertation. I will support this dissertation, this author. Thank you. Maybe you have any other question to Sieaga Semmi? No? No, thank you. Thank you. If let's finish our discussion. Sieaga Semmi, you can have the final speech. Please, Semmi, final speech. Book. Inclusive. No. On volume, Semmi, volume. Volume. Oh, thank you. Please, Sieaga. Thank you.
In the beginning, I would like to thank the director of the Chernobyl National Pedagogical University, Professor Buik Buhdan, for this support and assistance. I think the head of the academic council, Professor Karol Svetlana, for the adherence to principles, humanity, and tolerance. I would like to thank the official opponent, Professor Ludmila Romanveska and Valentina Turina, and associate Professor Irena Pretsko, as well as the reviewer Professor Evena Parnevich for their positive evaluation for the dissertation, constructive criticism, and friendly advices. Special word of thanks to my scientific supervisor, Doctor of Pedagogical Sciences, Professor Soreka Olga. I want to thank my family, friends, and the college of supporting me. Once again, World in Sciences, thank to the all members for specializing scientific council.
Thank you, Semmi. Dear members of the council, the applicant presented her dissertation. Scientific discussion took place. The applicant answered all the questions raised by the members of the council. So we can come to the discussion of the draft decision of the one-time specialized academic council on awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge 01 Education Pedagogy in the specialty 011 Educational Pedagogical Sciences, Sieaga Semmi. The one-time specialized academic council DF5H.053.03 of Ternopil Volodymyr Gnatyuk National Pedagogical University made the decision to award the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge 01 Education Pedagogy in the specialty 011 Educational Pedagogical Science. Sieaga Semmi on the basis of the public defense on the dissertation, social and pedagogical condition of prevention and correction adolescents' aggressive behavior in the general secondary educational institution. Sieaga Semmi was born in 1972. Between 1990 and 1994, Semmi studied for the bachelor's degree in law at the College of Administration in Tel Aviv. Between the years 1994 and 1995, he was in law practice. In 1995, he was trained as a lawyer and a member of the Lawyers Office Association. Semmy joined the Israel police in September 1995 as a lawyer in police lawsuits in Nazareth. In 1996, he was trained as an officer in the Israel police. He served as a criminal and traffic prosecutor until 1999. Semmy moved to an investigation office and a lawyer at the rank of inspector of the Tiberias station. In 2000, he moved to serve as the head on the investigation and intelligence office of the Migdal Hanek station at the rank of inspector. In 2012, he moved to serve as an instructor at the college for a senior youth officer. He trained the investigation and intelligence officers. In 1915, he served as a Coast County crime victims officer. In 2018, he became a Coastal District Youth Officer. In 2020, he moved to serve as the head of the Fraud and Cyber Division of the Coast District. From November 2018 to November 2022, he studied at Ternopil Volodymyr Hnatyuk National Pedagogical University. He completed all the requirements of the educational and scientific program in field of knowledge 01 Education Pedagogy, specialty 011 Educational Pedagogical Science. The dissertation was complete in Ternopil Volodymyr Hnatyuk National Pedagogical University, Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine. Scientific supervisor, Doctor of Pedagogical Sciences, Professor of the Department of Social Work and Management, Social Cultural Activity, Ternopil Volodymyr Hnatyuk National Pedagogical University, Sorota Olga Viktorівна. The result of the research are covered in 14 scientific publications. 11 publications are individual. One article in a foreign published, 3 articles in scientific specialized publications of Ukraine. 1 article educational and methodological manual and 9 articles in collection of materials of scientific and practical conferences of various lengths. The number, volume, and content of printed works meet the requirements of the Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine regarding the publication of the main content of the dissertation for obtaining the scientific degree of Doctor of Philosophy. All the comments of the opponent and review are heard of the Specialized Academic Council, as well as the voting result will be included in the decision. There are any changes and addition to the draft solution? No? There are no changes or addition. Thank you. Who is for taking the specified draft decision as a basis? Raise your hand if you support. Yes, thank you. 5 members against, no one, abstain, no one. So everyone supports. Thank you. We accepted this project as a basis. Let's start voting who supports the decision to award Сеага Семі the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge. 01 Education Pedagogy in the specialty 011 Educational Pedagogical Science. Raise your hand.
You got it. Right.
Thank you, thank you. 4 are 5 members against no one, abstaining no one. So everyone supports. So voting was held in accordance with the resolution of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine, number 44, the procedure for awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and cancelling the decision of the one-time Specialized Academic Council of Higher Education Institutions, Scientific Institutions, on awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. The voting results are the next. 4 are 5 members, against no one, abstained no one. Therefore, based on the result of the open voting, we made a decision to award Сеага Семі the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge 01 Education Pedagogy in the specialty 011 Education Pedagogical Science. I congratulate Сеага Семі on the awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations to her supervisor, Soroka Olga. Thanks to all the members of the one-time Specialized Academic Council. I decree the meeting of the one-time Specialized Academic Council of GF 5H.053.03. Is closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anatoly.
Thank you very much for all of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go.
Та прикликах.
Ми не виходимо, робимо фото.
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 No problem. No problem.
No problem.